Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm sharing how I made this Halloween themed slimline card as part of the Fabulous 5 YouTube hop. This hop consists of, you probably guessed it, 5 YouTubers from smaller channels, and to make things more exciting we have a giveaway for you to participate in, and it's sponsored by none other than our favourite crafty brand, Lawn Fawn. So I'm going to get started showing you what I've used today, and then I'll go into a little bit more about the theme of this hop. So here are my Fantastic Friends stamp sets. I'm using both the full stamp set and the add-on. All of those cute little creatures, the bats and the spiders. I'm using a pumpkin from Happy Halloween. I've got this special delivery add-on stamp set. My Perfectly Wicked stamps. I just love those kitty cats. I've used a pumpkin from Costume Party. And then I've used the Perfectly Wicked add-on stamp set for another cat and for the lollies. My Totally Awesome stamp set was used for a little froggy. And Baked with Love, one of my all-time favourite stamp sets, I used the cupcake out of that one. So why so many sets? Well, I'll tell you while I'm stamping these out. Our theme for this hop is old and new. So we've challenged ourselves to use some of our favourite old Lawn Fawn stamp sets as well as some of our brand new ones. I love these themes because if you're like me, you might have a really big Lawn Fawn collection and you have plenty to use. I often have to tell myself I do have plenty to use, and every time there is a new release, I sit there with my massive stash and think I have nothing to play with until I get my new things, and that is just not true. I have so much stuff. So I love making cards like this, and if you've been watching my channel for a while, then you know that I typically go overboard, and all of my cards are made with many stamp sets. But it's just the way that I work. Can't help myself. There's just too many cute images across too many stamp sets, and my mind just likes to grab things from all over to make cute scenes for you. So forgive me for the wild amount that I'll be showing you today. But I had so much fun making this card. And because I didn't use enough stamp sets before, I'm also using Bubbles of Joy and You Autumn Know for a couple of mice. I can't have a card without my favourite little mice. Once all my stamping is done, I'm then going to move on to colouring, and there is quite a bit today, so I'm not going to be showing all of it. I'll just show you maybe one of each of the images for how I colour them in, and that'll be enough. I'm going with a very simple pastel theme today. So I've got my pastel Copics, a lot of neutral greys, and some browns for the boxes. If you've been following along for a little while, I have recently bought these neutral greys, and I went with the neutral set because I figured it will go with whatever colour scheme that I use on my cards. Whether it be a warm tone or a cool tone, at least these neutrals won't be the opposite of either of them, and so far it's working really well. I'm loving these colours for bats. I'm also trying to change up the way I film my colouring, so I've got it at a different angle today. Instead of directly down, I'm trying to film from the side. I'd love to know in the comments if you think this is helpful or not. It's just as awkward to film this way as it is directly from above. If you're new here, I film on my iPhone on a little stand that hangs over my shoulder. And something that you might not know, even if you have been here for a while, is that every time my camera kind of wobbles, it's because I've hit my head on it. So fun fact for the day, I knock my head about 10 times every time I make a card. So I'm colouring in my mice with those same neutral greys. Just a little bit lighter so that they look quite different from the bats. You may have noticed my favourite little mouse is back in this card. I haven't used him for a while. He always gets up to trouble, and it was a lot of fun working out what he was going to do for this card. I'm using some blue-greens for my toads today, but I only ended up using one of these toads. I love my loaded scenes with lots of different things to look at, but even I go overboard sometimes and make too many images for them. I couldn't fit the big froggy on this one. So I colour in these other images with a mix of my pastel Copics, and I use the greys on my cats as well. So while I'm not showing all of my colouring today, I will let you know that all I use is 2 colours per area. I use a light one as my main colour and then the darker one for the shadows, and then I simply just colour it again with the lighter colour to blend them. I keep it super simple, but I feel like that's an effective enough technique to get a little bit of dimension. I also do some white highlights that I show soon. My background for today's card was super simple. I'm using the Lawn Fawn brick stencil over this piece of white cardstock that I have cut with my small slimline die set. The colours I'm using for my background today are shaded lilac, spun sugar and peacock feathers. I'm going to be using my sponge blending tools because I feel like they can be dabbed a lot lighter than my brushes. If I wanted a solid background, I would use my brushes and go in with a heavier hand, but for this you'll see I'm just dabbing lightly on the ink pad and then doing very light dabs and a little bit of a twist over the stencil to leave some of that colour on my cardstock. I do wish I had gone in a little heavier with this pink as it was fairly light, especially when it dried, but overall I really love that I had these colours that match the Copics that I had used to colour in all of my little images. Once I'm done with ink blending my backgrounds, I then use a little bit of each of those inks on my mat, I water it down and then sprinkle it over the background, just to tie all of those colours in together. After that, I then go in with my watercolour pigments, my favourite ones, my Starry set, and I'm using some of the white gold from that set today, watering it down so that it's nice and thick, and then I do a layer of that over the top. This just gives it a great shine, so when you turn the card from side to side, it's all metallic and very pretty. For each of the boxes that I have coloured in today, I'm going to be cutting them along that line so that you can kind of stick things in the box. For that I'm just using a craft knife and keeping within the lines to make it look nice and neat. And while I'm here, I'm going to start setting little bits of my scene. So I know in my head what pieces are going to go together. So I'm gluing them together now so that when it comes to assembling the entire scene at the end, I don't have to wait for all of these little bits to dry before sticking them onto my card front. So I know I want those strings on the boxes, my little critters to have their costume pieces, and these boxes to be full. So that's what I'm working on now. And here's another fun little filming fact. If you ever see me holding up an image to the camera for more than a few seconds, it's because I'm taking photos of it while I'm filming. And I usually share those photos over on Instagram. So if you haven't found me on Instagram yet, make sure you head over and find me there because I share photos of all the cards that I make. For my sentiment today, I'm going with no tricks, just treats. And today I'm using my new favourite Henry's ABC dies for my sentiment. So I've got the word treats cut out with some black cardstock and I'm going to be adhering this directly to my card front. It's a little bit of an unusual move for me. I usually do add some foam squares to the backs of my sentiments, but today there's so much going on at the front, I thought I could get away with sticking it directly onto it. So I've got this stamp that says no tricks, just treats, and I'm going to stamp all of it except the word treats. And I'm risking everything here, like I seem to have a thing for at the moment. I'm stamping directly onto my finished background with my letters already adhered. Thankful that it worked and I didn't mess it up and have to start all of that over again. Once that's dry, I then go over my letters with my white Jelly Roll pen to give these letters some highlights and to make them look like all the other images that are going to be on the front of this card. And now for my most favourite part of any card is adhering all of these pieces together. So you may notice that my little bats do stand out and so do some of the boxes because I've got some foam squares on the backs of them. And while I'm working hard at this, I thought I would remind you that this is a hop. And there are 5 stops on this hop, so you'll find the links to the next stop and all the others in the description below. I would love it if you could support these small YouTube channels and hop along to every stop and leave us a comment. Just say hi if that's all you feel like saying to us. But if you comment on all of them, you'll go into the draw to win our giveaway, which is a $25 gift voucher that has been very generously given to us by Lawn Fawn. I, for one, will be watching my video when it goes live, and then I'll be hopping along to all of the stops to see how these amazing crafters have created their pieces. And because they're smaller YouTube channels, I hope that you'll find some new crafters to follow and support. I just love how this whole scene came together and I would love to know what your favourite part is. Mine is obviously that little mouse with his legs in the air as he tumbles into the box of candy. He is just so much fun to play with. For one final touch, I'm going to be adding this little spider. I coloured him in, I couldn't help it, I needed him in there somewhere. So I'm going to be trimming off his web and sticking him in down the bottom. Now that my card front is done, I'm going to remove the double-sided tape that I have on the back of my slimline piece, and I'm going to adhere it to my card base, which I've just cut from some white cardstock. And there we have it, my crafty friends. This card is complete. I hope you love it. I hope you enjoy the hop and have a wonderful weekend. Thank you so much for watching. Bye for now.